What we're going to watch in this segment of the exciting Trimet board meeting is the always completely boring, hairy supporter talking about the accident review process. And those of us who've been bus drivers, who are bus drivers, know that the most important thing about being a safe bus driver is not being subjected to pressure situation. And those of us who've worked at Trimet who do work at Trimet know that the schedules, some of them do not work at all. Some of them are great, and some of them are horrible. It just depends. And the most important safety factor is schedules, and here a supporter won't address that. They never address the root cause of accidents, which is scheduling. They're so anxious to get production out of people. You got to remember that the oligarchs that own these places, and Trimet's an oligarchy, don't fool yourself, it's an oligarchy. It's not a public service agency, it's an oligarchy. It's owned by the executives for the benefit of the developers. The operators are nothing but serfs in the Trimet oligarchy. We are expendable equipment. So they want to squeeze as much work out of their equipment as they can. So they put these bad schedules. And when you have bad schedules, you have to rush. And when you rush, you have accidents. So Harry supporters are going to talk about this. If you can stand to get through this, good luck. I mean, it's very boring. But he's not going to address the number one problem with safety, and that's schedules. Because they don't ever talk about anything that actually means anything. They always skirt around the essence of the most important issues. So listen to Harry's usual snoring, monotone, crappy presentation about the accident review process.
This morning, what I'd like to do is go through quickly through the accident review process, but I also want you to understand that there is a very formal process that Trimet has for managing risks in general. This includes the identification of hazards, the analysis of those particular hazards, then beginning to develop mitigation measures, implement them, and then to reassess them. But despite all of these efforts, mishaps do happen, and we begin to investigate the causes for those, analyze them, and then develop solutions for their reoccurrence, to prevent reoccurrence rather. So what is the mechanism for that? Well, one mechanism is that when there is a collision, we have two different bodies that convene to look at those particular collisions. These bodies are chaired by the safety department and then comprised of operators for those respective areas and training staff, and then they look at the circumstances using National Safety Council guidelines and then determining whether or not there is preventability. But we also look at it to see whether or not there are other factors that have been involved, and then begin to develop mitigation measures as a result of that. Another process that we have is something called the Transit Change and Review Committee. This group convenes and looks at a variety of safety issues, but we also do look at major incidents and then begin to look at trends across the board. This particular committee is chaired by myself and is comprised of executive directors and mid-level managers. And we really drill down to look at those root cause analyses and look at what can be done to improve the situation. Because there may be some organizational issues that need to be addressed, as well as perhaps making some changes to the technology or mechanical mechanisms of some of the systems. And then there's still another layer, and that is that if there is an employee injury, supervisors and managers do initiate an investigation of that. There is quite a bit of assistance from the safety staff as well. Those particular circumstances are addressed by the safety committees themselves as well, and these are obviously comprised of employees. The committees also review and analyze trends. All of this information now is being collected into a new software package that we recently procured, and this enables us to begin to track much more closely the hazards that have been identified and the mitigation measures, and then hopefully this will ultimately result in a downward trend of mishaps. And that's the process very quickly. If you have any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
Harry, I want to emphasize, I can't emphasize enough, if you could have the staff, the members who work on electrical systems, get a thorough review of the hazards. We just lost one of our members dead, killed, shot, fell off. So, we haven't had a long time. And so, those of you who don't get involved in this stuff, it happens very quickly. And we all, sometimes you got a problem at home, or you're late for this or that, and you lose attention. You forget what's there. So I'd be willing to offer our services. We have a member who represents, he works for the contractor, works for the school on safety. Recognized expert. I'm just putting that out there. We'd be willing to set something up, and no fun, no fumes. So thank you.
Harry, this safety management information system, how long have you had that in place?
We just purchased the program this summer, and we are beginning to populate it with all of the identified hazardous conditions and situations, so that is ongoing. We recently trained our maintenance staff on how to use this system, the managers and the supervisors. So, and that is ongoing. There's an implementation schedule then to begin to train the transportation side of the house within the next couple of months or so.
So have you gotten any results out of it yet?
No, and as you can see by this graph, or this particular slide, there are a series of dashboards, and these dashboards are being created. We are also working with our data analysts to help us develop other dashboards as well. I plan to present to you those dashboards in future meetings, and because these are really the benchmarks that we're going to be using to define whether or not our efforts are effective and successful.
Well, I really applaud you, moving forward with this type of information system. Seems to me like one of the key elements of any safety program has got to be, good data on where your incidents are occurring, what type of incidents, and so you can start identifying patterns and that type of thing makes it a lot easier to be proactive. So I appreciate very much that you're being proactive in getting this kind of system forward so you can do exactly that.
And that information will be shared with the board in future meetings.
Great.
Harry, in regards to the collection review and appeals boards, and then as we move to the transit change and review committee, I'm assuming that findings that come from the review of collisions and things like that then go to the transit change and review committee as things need to be adjusted or looked at and changed?
Yes, that's exactly the process.
So in that regard, I see that operators and trainers are part of the collision review and appeals process, but I don't see that same level of engagement on the transit change and review committee. Are operators and folks like that engaged in that part of the process too?
Not directly on that particular group, because those are decisions usually made to organizational processes. That doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any sort of involvement, but at this stage we currently don't involve that level. We do use safety committees to involve and engage the employees, and managers do sit on those committees as well. So the information that we collect at the TRC level, the Transit Change and Review Committee level, gets pushed down to the safety committees as well, and then those managers that sit at the safety committee level push it upward to the TCRC level as well.
So they get a chance to review kind of what the TCRC is reviewing, and then get their input, and then it goes back to the TCRC for that kind of
That's what we
review.
attempt to do. Is it always 100% successful? No, but that's what we're attempting to do, is push it up and downward. Yes.
Excellent, thank you.
So here, I just want to make sure I understand this. So on the collision review and appeals board, I guess give craft over to this. That's mainly focused at collisions and the vehicles, or I'm just wondering things like the issues we've had with drivers being injured as a result of assaults, or some work-related practice. Where do those things start out? Is that here or someplace else?
That is typically at the safety committee level.
Okay. And then if it's major enough, it'll make its way up to the Transit Change and Review Committee?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we also looked at overall trends at the Change Review Committee level, just as the safety committees do.
Okay.
Can you tell me offhand, I know it's short notice, how many injuries are related to soft tissue injuries? What do they call soft tissue?
The vast majority are related to soft tissue. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's probably around the 80% mark.
80%?
Yes. So a lot of it is related to the operators,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of push-pull.
Well, I really hope that, well, I've been working with Commissioner Novick on giving him some information on helping to cut down on some of this. Okay, we'll talk about it.
So we're attempting to do the same thing. We've gone through an ergonomic review of the bus operators compartment. We're beginning to move towards making some changes in that area.
And the people in the maintenance field, the mechanics who are stooped over all day, and
Those are all issues. And we also have now initiated a very formal job hazard analysis process, which you're very familiar with.
okay. All right, thank you.
And so when can we expect the first reports from this system in front of us?
I would say within the next 2 to 3 months.
Okay. Good. And that'll be helpful to see all what's being tracked.
We can begin to show you some of the information that we collected and what some of those trends are.
Other questions? Thank you. More to come.